Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're really coming to the very end of Shmona Esrei. I can't believe it. It was a beautiful and long journey, but we are coming to the end. And then if anybody wants, you can always email me what you would like to learn next. So if you take a look, let's look at it. The very last paragraph where it says Elokai Nitzor Lishoni Meira. Now, this is a very interesting concept here. First of all, a lot of times you've been talking the whole time in plural, right? You've always been Elokeinu and Elokei Abosenu. And here you're just saying Elokai. What does that mean? What's
My God.
my God? So it's very, very interesting because Shmona Esrei is coming to the end. So the way the tefillah worked was we were building ourselves up until we almost got to this place called the Kodesh Kadoshim. Like we were standing in the base of,
We're very close to
yes,
Hashem.
into the holiest spot. We're so spiritually inspired and elated that we're like malachim, and that's why we're standing. We're not moving around. We're like a malach, which is an omaid, something that stands. And now we're going to have to go out. We're actually going to be departing out of this Kodesh Kadoshim to the next section of the Beis Hamikdash to the next until we're all the way out the door. Okay, so it's a very interesting idea. So now you're kind of saying goodbye. So you've done all your davening, all your care and love and concern for the nation as a whole, and you include yourself in all of these prayers. But now it's time to go. And guess where you're going? Into the real world. Okay, so people are either going to be going to work or back to work or into their carpool or into their day. Now you're like going to be part of the body and the soul story. Okay, so when you're really in davening, it's a very soulful act. Your body's like very kind of focused. It's not going anywhere in Shmona Esrei. It's just holding the sefer and holding the sitter and doing what it has to do. But now, what's the real world full of? Like, tell me what the real world is full of. Very different than just standing in shul and talking to Hashem. What's the real world full of?
That's all.
Yeah.
Hatred.
Yes. They had the Yetzer Hara. What else did you say? Someone else said
Jealousy,
yeah,
hatred.
come on. You are going to interact with people. All right. This is
Challenges.
challenges, interpersonal challenges. What's going to be coming out of there? Your big ego, okay? Like our egos are huge. Like no matter what age we're at, no matter, you make fun of your teenagers, but inside you're a little teenager just as like we all have that ego. We all feel bad if people don't say hello or they said it the wrong way or blah, blah, blah. Or, you're insulted at work or somebody pushes you in line or somebody, like, think about what goes on during that day. All right.
Right.
You're calling out Hashem, like Elokai, my God, like my God. This isn't going to be simple. I am backing out of the Holy of Holies. It's not just me and you anymore. It's going to be me and you and all of the stuff. Okay, now look at the first thing you say. It's so funny. What do you ask Hashem? Elokai, my God. Nitzor lishoni meira. Medaber mirma. What does that translate to? Who could translate that?
Nitzor is close.
Yes, close. Okay, close.
Exactly like at the beginning we said tiftach.
Yes. Esther, what a beautiful way. Look at that. That was a beautiful thing to say. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Esther. So in the beginning, it's tiftach because I need your help. I've got to speak to you, God, and I'm afraid and I'm nervous and I want to be with you and I believe in you. So open my mouth. But now when I'm going into the real world, I'm going to be meeting a lot of people. Nitzor lashoni meira. Do me a favor. Help me keep my mouth shut from saying evil. Isn't that interesting?
Very beautiful.
My mouth shut from saying evil and from my lips from saying deceit. Now, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. They say that this pasuk really it's out of the Gemara. It's right out of the Gemara, and it's interesting. It's out of the Gemara. There was one of the Tanaim, or Amorim. Hold on one second, because I want to find where I wrote it. Oh, could be it's in my other notes. Wait one second. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, so it was one of the
There
Amorim.
is a beautiful song.
Yeah,
Nitzor Lashon
yeah.
Mikol
So it's one of the Amorim in the Gemara where he actually says,
Tinatzel Nafshi Ruchi
yes,
V'Nishmati
yes,
Ufilati Min HaChitzonim.
yes, he actually says, like, please help me. Like, he actually says this is an important part for all of us to put in. Mar, the son of Ravina. Okay, so one of the Amorim in the Talmud. It begins with, my God, guard my tongue from evil and my lips from speaking deceitfully. This was literally in the Gemara itself. And he said that we have to say this every day. Okay, when we understand why, because every day we're challenged. And what's so important about words? What is so important about words? Like, it's really, if you think about it, it's so incredible. What is so important about words?
Create.
What?
We're creating with
We
words.
create. How powerful are they?
They can be very hurtful.
Exactly. They can be so hurtful that they can destroy. You know how many, like today, especially, oh my gosh, people are destroying people with words. I've never seen anything like this. Like calling for violence and destroying them and defaming them and going after their character. And today, you know, you could destroy someone. Imagine you lived in the shtetl, you know, no phone, no this, no that. How many people could you gossip to already? But today, in an instant, you could have millions of people that you know, speak Lashon
In
Hara.
a second.
In a second. It's so
Just pressing.
scary. It is so scary how careful we have to be today. So we're like begging Hashem, look, the last thing we want is to take the gift that you gave us, which is the power of words. The power of words is what makes man man. Animals do not have developed language. You know, they can go rough, you know what I mean? And it can be, you know, symbolic of, you know, stay away from me or something. But there is no such thing as poetry and plays and literature and this kind of, you know, development of language and sharing of ideas and all this. So you're really saying, you know what, Hashem, like I'm going into the real world. I don't want to be one of those people who, you know, gossips and says evil about other people and destroys people's character. It really aligns itself. We have to understand it aligns itself with murder. Okay. You destroy someone's character, you really have murdered them. You destroy people's reputation, they are completely limited, right? Once a person's reputation is destroyed, like, can you imagine what people can do? Like, if we think about it, and just like we can destroy with words, what can we do? We can heal and we can build with words, and you can establish like incredible relationships. So first and foremost, we're just saying like Hashem, you know, my God, like before I get out into this big world, please, like I beg of you, Hashem, help me, because it's interesting, like the Torah, when it has to talk about people who speak Lashon Hara, first of all, they say those are the people who are the greatest obstacles to peace, right? The people who speak negatively is the greatest obstacles to peace. And really, even in Israel right now, like it's so scary, you know what I mean? And among not just Israel, just among the Jewish people in general. Like the way people are using their words, like we have to be so careful not to defame like another Jew and put them in a box and label people and all secular people this, all Haredim this, all, you know, Tzioni this, like this big catch, you know, phrase of everyone is like this and everyone is like that. It's like such a mistake. And not only can you destroy other people with words, do you know who you destroy the most with? Yourself with your own words. Anybody understand what I'm saying? How do you destroy yourself with your own words? Let me hear.
So I'm so stupid.
Yes, perfect. I'm so stupid. I never get it right. I'm a loser.
I'm dumb.
I'm dumb. I can't use the computer.
You can't say that. You can never
you know,
say
like
that
you
about
can't say
yourself.
these things because it's literally Lashon Hara about yourself. There's like a famous story. It's an old story, famous story. The Chavetz Chaim was coming to a city. You know, it was like, you have to realize in those days, people didn't know what people looked like. You lived in Hutzenplatz, you know, nobody knew you, they could know your name. You're renowned, a renowned rabbi, the Chavetz Chaim was coming, but people had never seen his face. Okay, so hundreds and hundreds of people are getting ready to come to see the Chavetz Chaim. Meanwhile, there was a wagon driver driving the Chavetz Chaim. He didn't even know it was the Chavetz Chaim. Could you imagine? And he turns to the Chavetz Chaim. He goes, "Oh, you should know a great rabbi is coming to the city." Really, the Chavetz Chaim goes, "Really? Who?" He goes, "His name is the Chavetz Chaim. You never heard of him? He's an amazing rabbi." And the Chavetz Chaim, he was being modest. He goes, "Nah, I don't think he's such a great rabbi." The wagon driver said, "What a chutzpah!" And he smacked the Chavetz Chaim across the face. Can you imagine? He thought he wasn't the Chavetz Chaim. He thought he was somebody saying something bad about the Chavetz Chaim. Smacks the Chavetz Chaim across the face.
Why?
Did you believe this? And then they're getting into town. And what does he see? Hundreds of people are coming to
Running to him.
yelling, "Hey, the Chavetz Chaim is here!" And the wagon driver, did you imagine? He fainted on the spot. He literally fainted on the spot. He just hit the Chavetz Chaim. They wake him up, and the Chavetz Chaim says to him, "I'm so sorry." The Chavetz Chaim says it. He's saying to the Chavetz Chaim, saying to him, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should never have said lashon hara about myself. Look what happened. I can feel you." Could you imagine?
Wow.
So the Chavetz Chaim actually says you should not say lashon hara about yourself. An interesting idea. Okay, so
it's very hard though.
Yeah, very hard, but it is so important. You have to keep remembering I'm B'Tselem Elokim, I'm a work in progress, I'm trying my best. I'm B'Tselem Elokim, I'm a work in progress, I'm trying my best. I didn't get everything on my list done because Hashem didn't, he told me I don't have to. If I had to, he would have helped me get it all done. If I didn't get it done, Gamzula Tova. Do you know what I mean? Like all the things that we berate ourselves with, it's really like incredibly heavy. And Hashem is saying, you don't do that. Like, don't do that. You're wasting so much energy and just bringing your own self down. Okay. So here, what's so nice is we're each asking, every one of us, we're asking personally, Hashem, help me not to be a gossip. Okay. So not to speak lashon hara, like, is negativity. It's just the word negativity, even if the negative is true. Okay. So even if someone isn't the most beautiful, and even if someone is whatever, doesn't know how to put their mascara on, okay, whatever it is, even if the person is whatever, doesn't have that much money, isn't the brightest, isn't the sharpest cheese on the cracker, it's not for you to say. Even if it's true, it's not for you to say. When things will change, it's not yours to say. Hashem says, like, it's not information that benefits anyone.
That's right. That's what I keep saying always to myself. What are you going to say?
Is this going to work? Right. Is this going to make the world a better place or a worse place?
Then I stay quiet all the time.
Right. So Hashem knows how hard it is not to talk lashon hara. Because let's say if you look at your eyes, right, not to see something, you can close them. You just close your lids. Your ears, you can pick your earlobe up. But here, lashon hara, Hashem gave you two gates. He gave you your teeth and your lips. There's two gates to stop you from speaking lashon hara. Because Hashem is saying, I know this is hard, particularly for women. Women were given 9 times the amount of communication and language than men. Okay. Wow. We know that, right? The guy comes home from work. How was your day? Fine. And that's it. Like you're like, nothing happened. Fine. I want to eat something, like it's nothing, right? And women, this is why you should know it's hard for us to be witnesses because we have a Bina Yisera. We're looking much deeper. So when it comes to, they ask for testimony, what did you see? There's a tendency for us to go, well, we saw this, but it really means that, and it could have been this, and and we're going on and on and on. Okay. So we have to really work, we have to really, really work to not gossip. And the Torah tells you those who gossip lose their share in the world to come.
Right,
yeah, Chalila, right? And they say, like, a person who is a very, there are people who are nebach, like they're real yentas, like this whole joke of, yenta in the shtibel was because there were people like that, all right? And, they're always looking at everybody's business, and they ask you way too many questions. These people ask you a lot about your personal life. Like you have to, it's not appropriate. Like people have to know it's just not that appropriate to probe into people's personal life. If they want to tell you, they'll volunteer the information. You know,
נכון.
you have to be
That's
sitting
a,
there going,
wow.
"Oh, so what's doing with your son and what's doing with your daughter? And I heard this.
They're,
And,
they're
oh, they're
putting
still
you,
not
getting you
married. Oh,
MRI.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't, I don't want to give people an MRI. Okay, so it's just interesting. I just want to tell you, like, the kinds of names that people are called who are Balei Lashon Hara, who are the types of people who are masters of Lashon Hara, right? So the Torah tells them, the Torah lists them as number one, a denier. What do they deny? They deny Hashem's existence because Hashem said this is not appropriate. This is not going to bring shalom into the world. You're here for a purpose. And if you're busy gossiping, that means you don't think Hashem is hearing or watching or seeing or recording what.
The goyim also mechuyavim on Lashon Hara?
You know what? I think in terms of being a mensch, do you know what I mean? I don't know if they have the same, like we have very, very strict laws. I don't know if their laws are as strict as ours, but
No, Hashem, did he judge them the same way he
like
judged
an
us?
interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. Like I'm assuming that it's not menschlich, you know what I mean? Is it one of the 7 Noahide laws? Do not murder, which in many ways is don't shame people. Do you know what I mean? So there is a part of Lashon Hara that's going to bring you into big trouble. It's going to get you into trouble, right? Lashon Hara gets you into trouble. So, you know, obviously you don't want to get into trouble. Stay away from Lashon Hara. And it's hard. I mean, you know, when you were young, do you remember, like, you know, when you're in high school, like it's blah, 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 blah about everybody. Okay. It was like normal. You just sit together and go, you know, this one, she's so this, and you know, that one, you know, like that's the beauty. I have to be really honest. Like when you think about like these kids being raised in these really, you know, solid Jewish education where you're really trying to bring your kids up right from the get-go and the kind of role modeling you're trying to do in your home. And which nation in the world has a complete organization dedicated? The Chafetz Chaim Heritage Foundation is an entire multi-million-dollar, you know, institute that works on educating people not to speak Lashon Hara. Like it's really incredible if you think about it. It's incredible, right? You can get emails and you can get phone calls and you can get texts and you can watch videos and you could do all of this. And it's all these people who have donated to this organization to provide information to all of us on what are the laws of not saying gossip. You know, it's like, do you know any other nation that does that? Okay, like it's interesting, Esther, you asked that question. There's no one else in the world who does that. And why are we doing this? All for the sake of one thing, shalom. Because this world without peace is.
Gail, if somebody's ill and you know they're ill, and I say to you, Gail, so-and-so's ill, we need to help them.
That's not Lashon Hara, unless they have asked you, I don't want it to be publicized.
Oh,
Okay, so if somebody would tell you, like, I know people like that who never, you know, were sick till the very end and they really didn't want people to know. They weren't comfortable. They just weren't.
But isn't it wrong?
No, if you don't, I mean, I wouldn't do it personally because I would love to collect mitzvahs. Like when you're sick,
right.
Right? If you tell people, it's a way to collect a lot of mitzvahs, right? Because every Tehillim they say for you and every this they say for you, you get the mitzvah and the person who's sick gets the mitzvah. But for some people, I think it's just too much for them. They can't, they're uncomfortable with it.
So then you can just go ahead and do what you can
You
for
do your
them.
mitzvahs what you can, but you can't publicize if they told you, please don't publicize. And we have to appreciate that. Okay. Now, a person who also is a Baal Lashon Hara, you instill a lot of fear in other people. You know, like, you know, so-and-so, like I remember, I'll never forget this story. I used to exercise in that women's fitness club in the promenade. Okay. So when you walked out the door, you could either go to the right or you could go to the left. If you went to the left, there was a coffee shop there. You know, there was like a lot of the ladies when they finished exercising would sit at the
Starbucks, yeah.
Right. So I was walking out with somebody and she said to me, so which way are you going? I said, well, because she wanted to walk me to the car. So I said, I parked, you know, to the right. She goes, oh, so happy. Because if we would have had to walk past the left, do you know how many people would start gossiping about us? That's what we do. We sit there and we have our coffee and we just watch people walk by and then we just talk about them.
That's why,
really, you know, that's why what? Esther, what were you going to say?
That's why I noticed that any Jewish like clubs having a gila,
Yeah, you
Hashem
have to be,
closed them up.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
not
Could be,
closed
it could be, it could be.
because
We have
he
to be, yeah,
it was
like you don't
so
want to have,
bad. It's
yeah,
not
you
in
don't,
Hashem.
yeah, right. It could very well be. I can understand what you're saying.
Hashem punished us.
Yeah, he
Closed
doesn't,
it.
right,
No,
he
we
just
didn't
closed it.
survive.
Like we're going to sit around and yeah. So this is an important reality. You're really asking Hashem, like, really help me because I don't want to bring negativity to this world. Like I really, like all of us, right? All of us. When I say I mean all of us, right? Our dream is to be a source of blessing, right? I remember, Anita Friedlander of blessed memory. She used to be a member in our shul. She was such a very, very, like she was a tzaddiket, she was a
Betach.
righteous woman and she was always looking for truth, like nonstop. And one day she gave me this bracha and I thought it was so beautiful. She gave me this bracha that I give you a bracha that when people are with you, they should realize like, that Hashem is a source of blessing and that you're a source of blessing. You know what I mean? Like this idea. And that's, I always used to think to myself, like, what a nice bracha. I give you a bracha, you should be a source of blessing to other people. You know what I mean?
Oh.
It's a beautiful blessing. So that's what you really want to be. So now here, this is an interesting one when it talks about this idea of, and my lips shouldn't speak, mirma is deceit. So this concept of lying, okay, now lying is not an easy reality, okay, it's not easy, this concept of lying. Okay, so I want to tell you a few things. Okay, so they say, for shalom, for peace, you can sometimes make a little white lie, like Aaron, right? He used to make peace between people. So he'd, let's say, if, Chaim and Ruvain were having a fight. So Aaron would go over to Ruvain and he'd say, Ruvain, I just want to tell you, like, Chaim is really sorry, really loves you. Don't tell him I told you, this
Yeah.
kind of thing, right? And then he'd go over to the next guy, don't tell him I told you. And then both of them would be like, whoa, Aaron came over to us. This must be real. Chaim must have really meant it. The other guy's like, Ruvain must have really meant it. And then, peace would come. So I do want to be careful to tell people, like, I don't know everyone here, but like everybody's personality is different. Some people are very afraid of conflict. Do you know what I mean? Like they just can't stand conflict. And if you're the kind of person who is very, what's the word? You're like some people are harsh. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they actually kind of instill fear in you. Like if you're worried, like, you forgot your keys and they're the kind of person like, oh, you forgot your keys again? Well, what's the, you know what I mean? You parked the car over here, like, these types. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about very much, right?
Critic, very hard.
Very
Critical.
critical people. And they actually scare people and they can scare you into lying. And you can be like that as a parent, as a mother-in-law, as a this, as a that. Like, yeah, I always feel like I'm talking to the wrong audience here because here everybody's
You're preaching to the converted.
I'm like totally the opposite. But it's just an important thing for us to realize. Like when you're saying, I don't want to speak deceit, don't make other people speak deceit either.
Yeah.
Because they're so afraid of you and so afraid of your reaction. You know what I mean? That they're just going to lie. Just, oh, you know what I mean? Like, no, I didn't take the cookie, like when really, you have crumbs all over your face, but I didn't take the cookie. Why are you willing to lie like that? Because you're so anxious over this person's blow up. Do you know what I mean? So really, you have to look at yourself and say, like, I don't want to cause that to someone, a kind of a fear that they would be able to lie. And the Torah tells you, like, stay away from lying because once you start, what happens? The web becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Like you just have to keep increasing the line, right?
You get used to it also.
Yeah, that's another thing. Oh, very well said. Esther, very well said.
What did you say?
She said you get used to it. The Torah tells you like this. This is something to memorize, to catch yourself. The first time you do an Aveira, the first time you slip up, you say a little lie.
You feel guilty, you're scared, you did.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
The second time, it's like,
not
so bad. The third time, it's a mitzvah. Yeah. Now it becomes like, it's a mitzvah. I have to lie. This is what I have to do. Like, this is why we're saying, like, Hashem, please, please don't let me fall into deceit. So don't let me make people feel like they have to fall into deceit. And then also for some of us, we have to get a little more confidence. Like sometimes, you know what I mean? You become such a people pleaser that you're so afraid. You know what I mean? Like, right? Like you just don't want to ruffle any feathers at all. Nothing. I just don't want I don't want anything. So I'll just say what they want me to say because I just don't. That's also, we have to, do you see what I'm saying? You don't want any extremes in life. You don't want to be the person who makes people have to lie. And then you don't want to be the person that's so weak, right? That's so afraid of like making someone not, they won't like me, that I'll be.
But sometimes you have to keep quiet for Shalom Bayit.
Okay, being quiet, the Torah tells you, is the greatest mitzvah you can do. That's the best. Not to lie, not to make people feel like they have to lie. The best thing, the Torah goes over and over. You want to be a wise person? Siyag l'chachma shtika. Okay, so we have to end here because I know this is a very short class, but I have to go. I'm so sorry, but we'll finish it next week because it really has incredible words of wisdom. And Lynette, you got it. Okay, I'm very proud of you.
Very good.
Okay.
Yes,
Bravo.
bravo.
Okay, so Mr. Shem, love
We
everybody
love you.
so much for
Laila
coming.
Tov.
Yes, Laila
Well-
Tov. Thank you, everyone. And Emir Shem, more next week. Okay, I have to go.
Bezrat Hashem.
Okay,
Be'atzlacha.
thank you. Bezrat Hashem, exactly right.
Bye.
Thank you.